Hello, everyone, and blessed be. Like the title says, this is a VR response. Hashtag behind my magic. I saw this on Hound Dog Hollow's page, and she got it from Redwood Rain. So it's another one of those, certain number of questions, and the person answers them, and it's kind of a get to know me kind of thing. And I like those. I think they're very interesting to watch. So this has 22 questions. And the first one, you'll see me look over at the screen because that's where the questions are. So, the first one is, are you pagan, witch, wiccan, or other? I'm not wiccan. I guess I would consider myself eclectic witch. The labels are kind of hard. This, that, and the other thing, but we'll just go with that. So, number two, do you have a patron god or goddess? I don't, as far as having one where I have an altar set up for them or anything like that. I do work with them. Um, but, and so it kind of depends on the meaning behind that question, but technically, no. Three, what is your favorite tool of divination? It depends. I do a lot of spirit work. I do a lot of astral travel. I get a lot of visions. So I'm not sure if that fits into that. If we're talking about actual tools, then I would say my pendulum. I love my pendulum. I like all forms of divination, but that's my favorite. Number four, do you or have you ever had a familiar? Again, this is kind of controversial about what is a familiar. Some people feel it has to be a physical animal in this realm and in this time. Some people believe it can be a spirit animal as well. As far as a physical in this realm familiar, I do not. My cat is far too lazy, and she would believe that that would be beneath her and take up her sleeping time. But if you're talking about familiars from spirit familiars or familiars from other realms, yes, I do. Number five, do you believe in reincarnation? Absolutely, I do. Number six, do you have a witch's name? If so, what is it? Nope, I don't. Number seven, what element do you work with most? Or do you work most with? Fire um, is absolutely number one, closely followed by air, and then water and earth. Although I do a lot of work with herbs, and that's considered earth. So, but fire is absolutely number one. Number eight, what got you interested in witchcraft? I don't know that anything got me interested in it. Um, I was doing things well before I even know what that word meant outside of, the cartoons and things that I saw on TV. I didn't even associate what I did with that word because I didn't understand the correlation. So it wasn't until I was a grown adult and was able to finally talk to somebody, which is actually just in the last 4 or 5 years, that I really started even taking on that word or that label, even though it's things I had always been doing. Have you ever used a Ouija board? Nope. I was at a slumber party once and they pulled out a Ouija board and I got this rock in the pit of my stomach. Um, and it told me to get out of there. So I got up and I went downstairs and I sat in the living room while they did the Ouija board upstairs. The fireplace was next to me but was not lit, and I started getting visions in the fireplace. And one was a set of hands clapping. And probably because those kids had no idea what they were doing, it definitely can be used safely if certain things are followed or done. I have no interest in them whatsoever, but that doesn't mean it will never happen. So, number 10, would you teach witchcraft to your children? As far as sitting down and having lessons and things like that, no. They see me live my life. I talk to them about my beliefs. It's all over their home. I do work with crystals and energy healing with them. I make elixirs. I make teas. I sage their room. All those kinds of things so they see it. They carry a stone, things like that. So I just have it around for them, and if they want to talk about it, talk about it. But they're able to take from it what they want and do their own thing. I have to scroll down. Number 11, do you or have you had a mentor teacher? I'm going to say yes to that. I found an amazing woman. She's in a different country. We connected. She actually dragged me kicking and screaming pretty much out of the broom closet. And we run a Facebook group together. And I was just a very quiet lurker in there. And I made one comment and she honed in on me. And she told me things about myself that I didn't know people would know. And told me what I could do, things I could do, which was something I don't really talk to anybody about. Anyhow, we became friends through there. She has helped me a lot. We don't have lessons. She's a high priestess in a coven in her country. But we don't have lessons per se, but I've learned so much from her. And she's always there, and I consider her a sister now. So it's not a formal teacher mentor, but her friendship is priceless to me. And like I said, I've learned a lot. So, I lost my place. Oh, 12. How do you reconnect when you feel out of touch with your practice or self? I usually go to my pendulum or my herb shelves. I'll go to the shelves and I'll just look at the herbs, and all of a sudden the feelings come. And I start knowing what to grab, what put together, whether it to be to make a tea or a tonic or whatever. It just all of a sudden will come. And 13, do you have a dream journal? No. That isn't to say I never write about my dreams. I just don't have a journal specifically to go over my dreams. So 14, what is something witchy you want currently? Well, that depends. If we're doing the go big or go home, I want a witchy hut. I want it to look like it's made out of an old, big, huge tree with a door carved into the trunk of the tree, and you go inside. Everything looks all natural, and you have your big cauldron and the fire and all that stuff. If we're being a little bit more realistic, I would like a bigger cauldron. I don't need a bigger cauldron. The little tiny one I have works perfectly fine in my situation. But if I had to think of a want, I would like a nice, good-sized cauldron. Someday. 15. Do you think it is important to know the history of paganism and witchcraft? I'm going to go with what Brandy said on this and say yes and no. I was doing things that are considered both of those things before I even knew what those words were. Definitely paganism I didn't know, and witchcraft was only something that you read about in stories or saw on TV. So I don't think it's so important that you have to know the history before you can do it. Some people are just already doing it. I do think it helps kind of connect some dots and understand some things. And if you start doing things that you read about I think it's good to know the history of what you're doing. So, and plus it's really interesting. 16, do you think witchcraft has improved your life? Like I said, it's always been a part of my life, but yes, I do think it has improved my life. Um, I think there's a lot of people who go into self-help things, you know, going to the gym or a healthier lifestyle. I think witchcraft, and embracing it and opening up to it more it's been like shedding false skin. So, yeah, I do. 17. Do you believe in fantasy creatures? Well, to me, they're not fantasy. Um, Unlike a lot of people, I don't believe they're fantasy creatures, but I know that that is used in this term to specify what type of creatures, dragons, unicorns, things like that. Absolutely, I do. I work with them a lot. 18. How have you created your path? How is it unique? I don't think I've created it so much as that I've followed it. Um, I've actually, rather than hide, I followed it. As far as how it's unique, um, I guess maybe because mine also includes a lot of astral travel, a lot of spirit work, um, a lot of visions, dealing with non-human entities, and that has been since my first memory. Um, it's just me. I'm unique even in that, so not always is the paranormal or the spirit world or astral or things like that a part of witchcraft. And for me, that was there before I knew what the word witchcraft meant. So, 19. Where's the most magical place you've ever been? I haven't traveled a lot, but um, I don't know. Probably my first memories were at 9, so it was about that age, and we lived in these duplexes, and next to the duplexes was this wooded area. And this is might be TMI and might be a little bit too weird, and I'm going longer than I meant to go on these answers, but um, in front of where we lived was a very, very busy road. Lots of accidents, everything like that. And a lot of squirrels would get hit on that road. For some reason, it was especially squirrels. And I was so crushed when I saw them just laying there in the gutter. And nobody, in my heart, I felt like nobody cared. Nobody was going to be sad that they were gone. Nobody was going to miss them. And I thought that was so horribly sad. So I would sneak a shovel and I would go out there and I would scoop up the roadkill, the dead squirrels, and I would take them into that woods. And I had my little trail and I would dig them a grave and I would cover it up and I would use little rocks to put around it and decorate it and things like that. And then I would bring my Bible out because that's all I had for spirituality at that time. And I would read over their grave. And while I was doing that, I would see visions of these animals playing and skirting around and running up trees and climbing up my arm and being happy and free. And it made me feel so good. So take that to, a therapist and have fun with that. But it was magical to me. It was amazing. And I never told anybody about it until, I got older and started talking to people more. But um, absolutely would not tell my mom. She would have me locked up. So what is your favorite color and why? My favorite color is black, closely followed by purple. 21. Do you wear pagan jewelry in public? Yeah, I'm not much of a jewelry wearer. I never wear earrings. I will occasionally wear rings. My favorite ring is a mood ring that I got from the dollar store. I will occasionally wear a witchy type ring, but every day at work I wear a necklace that has a dragon's blood jasper on it. To everybody else, it just looks like stone jewelry. I've not worn anything that screams witchcraft, but doesn't mean I won't. It's just I'm not really into jewelry. So let's see, one more. It says, what is your favorite thing about being a witch? I think it's because the thought of being crazy and the fear of why things were happening got lifted. I think in part two that's a part of the time we're in now, where there's social media, there's groups. Even though you may not have like-minded people around you or know that you do, social media helps you connect to them, and you get to learn and grow and blossom and shed those fears and insecurities so much faster than you could before. So I think my favorite thing about being a witch is the time that we're in right now, if that makes sense. So anyhow, there's my VR, and I hope you enjoyed. Blessed be.